Welcome back. Hi, Marita.
Hi, Angel.
Welcome back, everyone. So, what are we exploring today, this week?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about permissions, agreements, and protocol.
This is also one of the theme, like the one we did last week and the one we're going to do next week, and probably many of them that require very long conversation. So I want to mention that for those of you that have been following us and listening to this talk, the idea is just to plant a few seeds. It's not to be go in depth fully on every topic, because that is not possible in this context that we are doing here.
In a lifetime.
In a lifetime.
It's
We won't know even by the end of our life the extent of each topic. So permission, agreement. Do you want to start with an example, or do you want me to start?
I think you should. I think you had a great example that we could start with.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for my teachers, and even teachers that are not my teachers anymore, meaning they were my teachers maybe 10, 20 years ago, and maybe I don't have a ongoing relationship with them. But for me, my first teacher was 40 years ago, 30 years ago, when I was very little. He was my grandfather. And, he's passed now, but still a lot of respect for him. And then, in my 20s, I met this extraordinary grandmother that was teaching non-duality, Advaita Vedanta, the ancient Hindu text from 8,000 years ago. And looking back, I will never first teach those topics in the way they teach it, because there was so much more than what they shared with me. I know that in order for them to share even small nuggets of wisdom, I know it comes from long lineages, depths of relation with those teachings that allowed them to share with me at the time. And in the past couple of years, it's interesting. I was sharing with Marita offline, but I'm going to share it here. I've experienced a few people that used to study with me and that have somehow copy paste the teaching, like you would copy paste a Word document, right? Basically bring the teaching into out of context in many ways, because there are some foundational elements that are not present, out of context of relation to teachers and elders and lands, and just say, hey, I'm offering this retreat, or I'm offering those teachings. And on paper, it can look the same. In fact, I'm sure some aspect of it that are shared are probably, relevant. But the problem to me, it feels very much like a Google search, if you search a topic on Google and then Google answer you. Google knows a lot, but Google's know nothing. It's just an add-on of stuff. But energetically, it's missing relation. It's missing activation. It's missing relationship. And it's missing something that's really important: reciprocity. Sacred reciprocity. And when I wanted to start teaching or leading ceremonies, it took me years to have the agreements of my teachers. It took years for my teacher to say, hey, yeah, you're ready, or you're not. In fact, there was a moment in my life, I think I shared that before with you, Marita, where I was leading ceremony and my teacher say, hey, you need to hold on, you need to stop. And I stopped for 2 years. until I connected more deeply to the ancestors of that lineage and to the land and to the medicines that are carried there. And then I returned to it. And that was a great learning for me, that we need those elements of agreement, that we need permission. Because if not, the type of energies, spirits, however you want to call it, that we are bringing into those circles are probably not the one we would like to work with. And once again, we talked a little bit about this topic last week when we talked about being human-centered. The ego is going to want to be there, right? If there is something in our field that's about some level of power over someone else, some level of not feeling good enough, things we might go too fast in order to pretend that it's okay, that we know what we're talking about. And so I think it's really important that when we step into any role of holding any kind of circles and space, that we have elders, teachers that validate what we are doing, that tells us, yeah, you've done enough work, or this is not going to be in the way, or you know what, maybe deepen on that part of your work. Because we have a responsibility not just towards our students or towards the people we share space with, we have responsibility with lineages of ancestors that are sitting on the shoulder of our teachers and their teachers and their teachers. So when we don't have agreements, when we don't have those things in place, we're not just damaging a relationship with someone, but we're damaging the teachings, and also we're damaging thousands of years of transmission potentially, because then that's what's going to be transmitted.
And you're lying.
Yeah, it's not real. It's not true.
You're
it's
lying.
artificial in some ways, right?
Yeah.
And we are, in the big era of AI, and who knows what AI is going to become, artificial intelligence. And sometimes it can feel very real. You can feel that there is really validity in what maybe an AI system is going to be answered, but there is no relations. And if we cut that relation to land and to lineages, then we're going to be really lost, because we already are when we do that. But bringing that in the space of ancient wisdom is, I think, very dangerous and very harmful in ways that we don't always measure if we're not aware of it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to feel into where to go, because there's so many places here. And I think we definitely have to do one about AI, because I think humans are artificial intelligence, but that's another thing. But, sitting here with these words, I feel that a lot of people are going to be like, we don't like this. You're just wagging your finger, and I want to do what I want to do, and blah, blah, blah,
Sure.
I blame McDonald's. I blame Starbucks. I do. Because if you do, I wrote a semi-thesis on McDonaldization back in the day, and it gave people the opportunity of customization. This idea that you as a child could go in and customize something and get a little treat changed how we eat, how we consume. Back in the long time ago, you went into a restaurant, you ate what they had prepared. The meal was what the meal of the day, right? And now we get to customize everything. So we're living in an artificial world of customization, right? And so people come into circles, indigenous circles, one pot circles, one pot restaurant circles, right? That have the pots from your great grandmother, the recipes from your great grandmother and grandfather, right? And you're expecting to be able to just take something and customize it and walk away. You can't make what's in that pot. You don't have the pot. You don't know how to speak to the fire. You don't even know how to draw water. You don't even know that water is drawn from a river. You don't know. You don't know what you don't even know. And that's the danger. That is the danger of titles like shaman and titles, titles that you haven't earned, or taking on names you haven't earned.
Mm.
Angel and I have these names that you see here: one who catches lightning, keeper of the thunderstone, Angell Deer. They're not just because one day we had a whim. It's because it was presented to us to an opportunity to learn. And let me tell you, that someone wants to give you a name, you might want to step back, because they're giving you a path. And that path is not going to be easy. Right? So part of permission and agreements is really also what I tell my students is, if, once you have permission and you quote, right, you invoke, I have permission from Angel to do this, from their teachers, I have permission from one who catches lightning and their teachers, then all of that support and all of those lineages and all of the ancestors show up.
Mm.
They bring the pot and they draw the water, right? They make the fire and sing to it. Because you might not be at that point where you know how to do that, so you need help. Part of leading, part of having a name or a title is means that you need help, and that you have allowed yourself the grace of true humility, right? To just be one of the many. And so permission and agreements are also because we are inviting all of these connections to come. And if you don't have the connection, then you're hijacking it from someone else.
Mm.
You're taking it. You're stealing it. Right? And I know people don't like these words. That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes we just have to say what it is. And if that's what you have been taught to do, look at the system that is allowing you to take
Mm-hmm.
without consequences, right? Who has taught you that that's okay? Look at that. Don't get involved in this. Look at that first. And then start to be aware of how you are walking with these agreements, that you are then going in with that cultural agreements into other cultures and just taking from them what you want. Oh, that's pretty. That's nice. This is this. Circles, ceremonies, rituals, all of these things aren't events for entertainment. There are ways that you come and recognize that the potential of being human is to accept our vulnerability, that we need a community, and that community and those teachings are non-human, and they're human in deep relation. And what we are here to do is nurture that.
Mm.
Not to be an expert of the deer kingdom. Angel would never say that, right? Angel, am I correct?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not the expert
Very
of the
careful.
Jaguar people, right? I know. We're not experts. We're just a part of a family, representing that family to the best of our ability with permission, knowing that we have to, every time we teach or we have to give back. We have to give back to the land that holds us. We have to give back to our teachers. It's a cycle in a circle. But so many people are stepping into circles that are lines. And that's the Western life, right? Lines, a timeline, events of accomplishments, non-accomplishments, and that hero journey. when you're in these indigenous circles, the hero journey is all of life. So you need permission.
Yeah.
Because you're asking them to come. You're asking them, will you be here? And if you don't have that relationship, you need to earn it. That's why, right? You don't all of a sudden, throw someone off a cliff and expect them to survive it. Yet that is what so many people are doing when they're putting people at risk and themselves at risk, saying that they hold something that they don't.
Mm.
So part of the protocol, part of these permissions and agreements are for safety, right? And safety from, not the safety that the Western world talks about, but just like, if you ever learn to cook at a young age, right? You're taught not to put your hand in the fire because you have your grandmother or your nana, they're teaching you. Don't put your hand in the fire. It's safety. Don't get burned. So then when I teach the next person, that's what we're teaching. We're there with our ancestors in this one pot, making this beautiful, beautiful soup that we're all going to eat. The stone soup that I call, right? The stone soup that we contribute. So I think it's just a lot of people are eating out of empty cartons and fast food religion and religion because it is sect. It's not even a spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just, saying there's another way. If you are bloated from modern spirituality, there's another way. And that's with permission, because permission allows you to be in relation.
Yeah. And bring way more than just what you're hearing in the space. That's the thing, right? Someone might say the exact same words, but their relations that are invisible and their connection is what really is in the field. And
Yeah.
ultimately is
Yeah.
the medicine that we know we need in a world that has disconnected from everything. It needs to bring that back.
Yeah.
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 Thank you.
So ask
Mhm.
to receive, right, Angel? Don't
Yeah.
just take.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the stealing image, I think, is good. Let's call it what it is ultimately, even if we don't own the things ultimately, right? So we don't feel like, well, it's not owned by someone. That's true. But it's a different kind of energetic stealing. And it has consequences in many ways.
Yes. Well, thank you, Angel. Thank you for your wisdom, for all your teachers, and for the permissions that you have to be here and to share what you are sharing.
Yeah, and to you too, Marita. I know it's not a small work.
Nope. I'm on a very tight leash over here.
Thank you, everyone.
Should they?
Bye.